So I thought it would be perfect to start with our good friend, the cruise guy, Stuart Chiron, because going on a cruise is something that, he knows the numbers better than I do, but
he's the cruise guy.
He's the cruise guy. Yeah, he should know these things, but everybody should take a cruise if you haven't been on one. And if you have, take another one. It's one of my favorite ways to travel.
First time I ever went, I got hooked.
Yeah,
I could go. Right? I could go several times a year.
Yeah, I would have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. I think that the nuances of each ship are, I love experiencing that. I like going to new places.
Aren't you always amazed though by the people who say, "Oh, gee, Eric, yeah, but what if you get seasick?" These are people. I mean, that's the argument you've heard for 50 years or more.
And you don't get seasick. I mean, I guess some people do. But, I mean, for the most part, you don't get they have stabilizers. Anyway, Stuart Chiron is here. Hello, Stuart. Welcome back to Travel Show Live, my friend.
Thanks, Eric. Great to be here.
Well, you are so happy and chipper. I get so excited to talk to you on the show because you always have something to share with us. That I always learn something new.
He's always been on a cruise.
He's always on a cruise every time. Yeah, right. Here's a guy who's been you've been all over the world on a cruise ship, correct?
Yeah, I have. In fact, I just came back from London yesterday, sailing aboard Celebrity's brand new Equinox out of Southampton.
Yeah. Wow. How was it?
It was awesome, and it's just like its sister ship, the Solstice, which came out in November of '08. Yeah. And I mean, these two, Eric, for the large ships, these are the two nicest large ships in the world.
When you say large ships, Stuart, are these larger? Or is this the newest generation of the so-called world's largest cruise ships? So there's nothing bigger so far?
No, they're not. They're not trying to compete with its sister companies, 160,000-ton ships, or their upcoming 225,000-ton ships. These are 122,000-ton passengers ships that hold 2,850 passengers.
Wow.
Not 4,500 passengers, not 54, just 2,850. And, I mean, these ships, I mean, they compete in the premium market with Holland America, Princess, and I mean, they just have really raised the bar with these ships. I mean, 85% of all of the cabins are balconies, and it's just, I mean, when you get a chance to see ships of this magnitude, they just did such a, they just separated themselves so greatly from their competitors that their competitors are actually probably going to have to do a great deal in order to catch up with the quality facilities that they have on board these ships. Well,
that being said, I think now would be a good time to really get into the nuts and bolts of this, because a lot of people who send email to this program and call us, they say, I'm nervous because I read that sometimes you get sick on board and, something breaks out and it ruins my vacation and I worked hard for blah, blah, blah. First of all, the health concerns are a major factor with the cruise industry, correct?
Well, I mean, they're a major factor anywhere, and the cruise lines don't want any negative publicity. And I can tell you, getting on and off the ships, you're having to sanitize your hands. When you're walking in the dining room, when you're walking into the buffet areas, you're having to sanitize your hands. Mm-hmm. They do everything humanly possible. And when you actually initially board the ship, you have to fill out a secondary questionnaire regarding your health within the past 2 days and also within the past 5 days. Mm-hmm. So they can screen of whether or not you need to be checked out, because if you do appear ill, they will not allow you to board the ship.
I think that's worth noting. That's really good advice, that if if you've had a cold or something, but if you look ill, they're not going to let you on board, right? It's not just like a free-for-all.
Well, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, they have to protect it, because unfortunately there are situations like the one we had this past week, which unfortunately get blown out of proportion, but the traveling public are not too swayed by the inaccuracies of certain media groups. We won't get into specifics.
That's probably a good idea. Wow.
Yeah, like Reuters service really blew it this past week with Royal Caribbean Voyager of the Seas in France.
Why?
Well, they reported that there were passengers and crew that came down with the swine flu, and it was not the swine flu. It wasn't the H1N1. They were essentially colds. They did have them checked out, and they just got certain people into a panic for no reason.
So for us, though, are there things that we can be doing to protect ourselves on board, or do we not need to be concerned about it? I mean, we should use the hand sanitizer. I mean, what do you think? Should we give it consideration or not?
Well, the best thing to do, Eric, I mean, it's general, hygiene. You got to wash your hands.
Yeah.
And a lot of, unfortunately, people don't do it. It sounds funny, but I mean, you go to the bathroom and watch how many people anywhere, leave without washing their hands.
Yeah, it's
so
really
the
gross.
best thing you can do is follow along, wash your hands, avoid unnecessary person-to-person contact. But the cruise lines go out of their way. Again, I just came off of cruise 145. And, I mean, they do an unbelievable job doing everything humanly possible to keep the passengers and crew and the ship safe and clean to avoid any unnecessary situations. Mm-hmm. And, these are the safest manners in which to go on vacation when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, that's so. And when these outbreaks happen, when they do happen, it's not because something wasn't clean for the most part. It was because 9 times out of 10 because a passenger brought it with them, correct?
That is absolutely correct. The ships have never been the source of a food or health or contamination on board the ship. It's always been other passengers coming on. And again, I mean, these are 24 to 48 hour situations. And when you look at the numbers as a whole, it's really not a big deal. And when the ships come back in, it's pretty much done and over with. These are floating cities, Eric. They do have 3,000 to 4,000 people on them, and it will happen. But I mean, when you look at the numbers, it is extraordinarily rare.
Yeah,
which is a good thing. That's why most people are not even really concerned about it, and they book their cruises and they go and they have a great time, and it's of minimal consequence. When I got off the plane in London in Heathrow, it was quite I don't know, I guess amusing watching some of our Asian friends as we're getting ready to go through customs. And they had their surgical masks on, and people were looking at them, like, do they know something we don't?
Right. No, they're just scaring the crap out of us. Yeah, Stuart, thank you for doing this today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Eric.
The phone number, so I don't mess it up. It's 8. What is it again?
800 700 3881, and you can always go to cruiseguide.com.
That's the easy way. Cruiseguide.com.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Who bothers with phone numbers?
Yeah, who wants to call? But that's what's great about it is that when you select an itinerary that you think you might want to go on, then you call the phone number, and somebody actually picks up the phone, and one of the cruise guys' cronies over there knows what they're talking about. That's what I like about it is that, you need to be shopping online, but you've got to book with somebody who knows these itineraries. Isn't that right, Stuart?
It is absolutely, because, Eric, you could wind up on the wrong ship. You could wind up paying too much.
Yeah.
There are the resident discounts. There are senior discounts. There are discounts if you happen to be wearing a gray sport coat with a blue shirt discounts.
Cruise Guide discounts. That's what we want.
We want the Cruise Guide discounts. I love it. Thank you, Stuart, for doing this.